Hey, God bless. This is Jonathan Cabrera. For those of you who know me, y'all already know I'm a Christian. I love the Lord with all my heart. I have a passion for Him. It's like every time I talk to somebody, I gotta talk to them about God. Like I gotta throw God in that conversation one way or the other. And I know at times it takes people off, but they gotta understand where I'm coming from. Like I believe in the Word. I believe in His Word, which is the truth, because there is absolute truth for those who believe there isn't. And the thing is, you gotta go ahead and search for that truth yourself. You can't depend on somebody else to bring that truth for you. You gotta be the one that seeks it. So what I want to do is have a weekly Bible broadcasting network, which people could log in and see it on Facebook or see it on YouTube. Because one thing I've noticed, we have so much technology, but as Christians, we don't really use it to reach out to people. So what I want to do, I want to reach out to people through Facebook rather than just putting on statuses and people commenting or liking it. I want people to actually see a video. So I'm not going to start this Bible study or the debut of the Bible Broadcasting Network of Jonathan Cabrera. I'm not going to start it off with a Bible study, but I'm just going to give you a short testimony of my life or how I came to Christ. Basically, I was born in Queens, New York, back in November 23rd, 1992. Ya tú sabes, for the 1992s. But yeah, I lived over there for about 12 years, moved over here in 2005, and I spent my 8th grade year in 17 school. Now, everything was going smooth and whatever, but God started becoming like a regular thought in my head around my 8th grade year and my freshman year, because the thing is, from my 8th grade year to my freshman year, something very critical happened in my life. Before I became a freshman in Ferris, I was a part of this program in Ferris called 15 Together, which was a summer program that actually gave you community service hours and stuff, and it actually looked good on supposedly a college resume and stuff. So I was going to 15 Together over the summer, and then there was this one event that happened that had me doubting God for a long time. And basically what had happened was I came out of school and I was with somebody. I'm not gonna throw the person's name out there, but I was walking to Grand Street right in front of McDonald's, waiting for the bus, because that's where I usually wait for it. And then the kid tells me, nah, let's go further over there. So at that point, I really didn't know Jersey City like that. I was only in Jersey City for 1 full year. I really wasn't, familiar with all of it. And then what turns out to happen is he leads me in front of the Booker T projects. And then we're over there and we see like a group of about 8 or 9 kids from a distance. And they're screaming, they're like, yo, hold up, wait up for us. And then I see the kid next to me, he responds and he's talking to them like he knows them. And at the same time, on that day it was about 100 degrees. So I only had my wife beater on, and I had my cell phone hanging out from the side on my cell phone case on my hip. And when the kids come over, they start talking to the kid like if they know each other. Then one of the kids, he sees me and he sees my cell phone case and he just snatches it. So I'm like, oh, for real? I'm like, yo, come on, stop playing, just give it back. Next thing you know, there's a kid that sneaks up behind me, and like he just, because at first I really couldn't believe this was happening. I thought this was a dream or something. Like, I was like, he just really took my case, and I was just trying to be nice, I was like, yo, come on, stop playing, give me my phone. And then this kid just comes out of nowhere from behind and he hits me about 3 or 4 times, and I could tell you in those 3 or 4 times I started leaking blood from head to toe. I remember like just 2 seconds after the first shot, like I just see blood all over the ground. And then I look down at my chest, I see my white beater covered in red, and right there I knew it wasn't a dream. I knew for a fact it wasn't a dream. And I don't know, he probably had something in his hand, because it didn't really take him much to bust me open, but my first reaction after I started seeing my blood, I got angry, and I said, oh man, yo, like, it's on now. Like, I'm about to go ahead and just swing off. It doesn't matter if I die. It doesn't matter if they hurt me even more. I just want to get payback. But then when I looked at my own reflection from the window of a car in the distance, like right there at the end of the block, or not even at the end of the block, right there next to where we was, I saw my entire face just covered in blood. My feet, my everything, man. Everything was red. And I'm thinking, oh, man, yo, it's not even worth dying for these people, you know. And when I look past the reflection of my bloody self, I see a woman inside. So I go up to the car, I knock on the window, and I'm like, yo, can you help me out? The woman comes out, and I don't think this is no coincidence. There was a nurse in the back, and she came out. She started attending my wounds. She took out like her packs and started, you know, treating my face so that it doesn't swell up even more. And you know, the crazy thing is, throughout this entire thing, the kid that was with me, nothing happened to him. You know, nothing happened to him. They were the ones that talked to him first, and the kid was just watching while all this was happening to me. You know, but who knows? You know, but I ain't take revenge on the kid. I just let it be. But I remember they called the cops and the kids just left. And then the kid that was with me decides to run after them, which doesn't really make sense after the event has already happened, you know. So at that point, at that time, my father was, and he still is, he works in New York around Times Square. My mother, she was working in Brooklyn. And the closest people that were from, the closest people that could actually see me were my mother, my grandmother, and my sister, who live on the hill, you know. And they took me to the medical center. So I called them, they came, and I kind of felt bad for them more than I felt for my parents, because the thing is, they actually saw my cut open, you know. And I mean, it was just an ugly sight. Like, nobody wants to see their brother or their grandson like that. And then my father comes, my mother comes, and my father, like, I felt even worse for him, because this isn't the first time it happened to him. You know, that one of his children got hurt like that, because he had a family previous to mine, and one of his daughters, you know, she got stabbed about 6 or 7 times, and she got cut in her eye, so she's partially blind from that eye. My dad was just furious, man. He was furious. He wanted to get revenge, but at the same time, he was so mad that he just started tearing. And I remember just being on the hospital bed asking, why would God allow something like this to happen? And the thing with me, I always believed in God. I always believed in Jesus. I grew up in the Catholic Church. You know, I always kind of had an idea that Jesus Christ was kind of a big deal, you know, but I just really never paid mind. Like, I never had that relationship with God, that intimacy or connection that I have with him now. And all this started to change when I started experiencing the world more. After that event, before my freshman year, you know, I was a shy, timid kid. I didn't really make too many friends. The first half of my sophomore year was the same thing. But then the second half of my sophomore year, that's when I started, you know, I went to my first party. I started, you know, being more around girls and stuff. And my junior year, you know, I used to consider my breakout year, because that's the year that, you know, I hit my first ever home run in baseball. You know, I became a better baseball player. I became a better student in class, you know. And most importantly, I started attracting girls, you know. Like, I used to be, you know, wanted. I felt more important than I ever did in my life. You know, people wanted to be around me. They wanted to chill with me. You know, they loved being around me. And you know, I wasn't like the most popular kid, but my popularity was getting up there. You know, and that's the same, that year, you know, let's be real. I'm saying this because this is my testimony, and, you know, maybe somebody could relate. That's the year where I lost my virginity. You know, that's where I started becoming more sexually active. And the thing is, people, you know, they try to, I think the sex is overrated in some aspects. Because the thing is, they make it seem like sex is everything, and that you can't be happy if you don't have sex. Look, the first time I had sex, alright, I ain't gonna lie, it was a good experience, you know. I was happy, and I was like, wow, you know, this is real good. Like, I finally got this load off my shoulders. Nobody could call me a virgin no more. But the more I started doing it, the more it became like a routine, and it didn't bring that satisfaction in my heart like I thought it would. So I was like, man, you know, like, physically it feels good, but inside, like, I still feel empty, you know. And it was just crazy, you know. But even though I thought I could find pleasure in all these things, going to parties, having sex, you know, I still wasn't happy, you know. And then I was going through issues at home. Me and my parents always fighting, you know, and there wasn't no regular fighting. Like, yo, it would get extreme sometimes, but I won't get too detailed into what happened. You know, I thought I could find love in the world. I thought I could find peace in my own household. I couldn't. I couldn't. I thought I could find love in my friends, my boys, you know. They would tell me they're my brothers in front of my face, but behind my back they would talk so much stuff about me that it wasn't even funny. And, you know, my last resort was girls. And I remember, you know, I was never like a player type dude. You know, all I wanted to do was be with a girl, make her happy, and, you know, just, you know, love each other. But I couldn't find that because nowadays, girls are no better than dudes. You know, I see girls playing guys out, girls having like 4 dudes after them, and they just want the attention. Oh yeah, look at these dudes, they love me. You know, but then, you know, I just got so sick and tired of it that I started playing girls out, you know, and I really couldn't find love in this world. And eventually, through one of my friends who I knew from the world, he used to be a former gang member, he introduced me to Christ in a new light. You know, not in the way that I knew him in the Catholic Church. And, you know, I started becoming interested into going to church, you know. But I remember when he started talking to me about Christ, like, yo, you know, I was going through a lot. And I just broke down into tears over the phone. And, yo, I mean, it was just incredible. Like, I never heard somebody talk to me like that in my entire life. And this is the same dude that was going to school with a backpack full of knives because people were after him. You know, I mean, look what God did with him. And, you know, eventually, there was one day where I had baseball practice. And for those of you who know Coach Hogan, you know he's not no joke. I remember my freshman year, he actually made us practice in the snow. Who plays baseball in the snow? The only sport that you play in the snow is football, and that's it. Like, you don't play baseball in the snow. But he made us play in the snow, and that Friday, I was wondering, like, you know, he's not going to cancel practice today, you know, like, a little bit of rain, like, we can't practice in the gym or something. He ends up canceling practice. Next thing you know, one of my boys from church, he calls me. He's like, yo, John, you going to come over? And I'm like, well, I don't got nothing else to do, so might as well. Honestly, I didn't want to go to the church because I thought it was going to be boring like the Catholic Church. But in reality, I was in for a surprise. You know, I went to church and it was a great experience. First thing I saw when I walked in, people praying and praying with passion. That's the thing. That caught my attention. That caught my attention. Next thing you know, they start worshiping and the songs, like, it's melting my heart. Because it was just so incredible. Like, you just feel a peace in that place. The atmosphere is great. And the thing that hit me the most was the preaching. For the next couple of weeks, every preaching I went to, yo, I felt like God was speaking through the preacher specifically towards me. And then finally, you know, I remember June 28th of 2009. You know, that's my spiritual birthday. That's the day that I walked to the altar and gave my life to Christ, man. Because I remember the guy that was preaching was Johnny Bonilla, and he was talking about how Christ could heal you, how he could repair your heart, how he could heal your wounds, and how he could give you new life, and he could take these burdens off your shoulder. And I just remember breaking down, crying. Like, for the next 3 months, and even till now, yo, like, every time I go to service and worship, and a message just hits me tremendously, yo, I start tearing, because God's grace is incredible. It's incredible. Nothing like it. Yo, the day I gave my life to Christ, man, all I remember was being in the front, on my knees, crying out to God for forgiveness, because I felt like the dirtiest guy in the world. But I knew that the only way I could be fixed was through Jesus Christ. You know, and now I got a passion for Christ. And hopefully through this testimony, some of y'all might be interested in this Bible broadcasting network. But I just pray to y'all. I just pray for y'all, and I pray that God could bless this, because this is for his glory, not for mine. God bless you.